Is this an indication that the war is getting to an end?
I'll say the war has virtually ended. We are in the mopping up process. But then you should realize that the mopping up process of a war is often as crucial, if not more crucial, than the shooting aspect. We are in the mopping up process, and it is a very, very important process. We'll get to the end of it.
But
this is an indication.
We just had a suicide bomber, wreak havoc on people in the Muna market in the northeast there. So if we're saying that the war is over, how come that just happened? And 24 hours after that bomb blast in that market, we get into CD release of Chibok girls, 21 of them. Is that an indication from the Boko Haram group that we're still very much around, even though we want to release these ones?
I said it earlier that the mopping up process is often as important, if not more important, than the real shooting war. And that is what is happening. On the Boko Haram insurgency, the shooting aspect is almost over. Recall that Boko Haram held territories, minimum of 40 local governments where they planted their flags, they seized them as palaces and sat on the MS stools and were administering those territories. Do you have that in any part of the country? No. They've been flushed out of all those places. They used to attack army formations, attack by police formations, attack schools, attack different kind of targets. They don't do that anymore because their capacity to do that has been largely degraded. Now what do? They do sneak attacks, just like happened in Muna a couple of days ago. That, is even few and far between compared to what used to happen. I think a lot of progress has been made. We can safely say we are at the end of this insurgency, and this is just a mopping up process. But don't forget, the mopping up process is as important as the real shooting war.
If you see the clip, the footages that we just showed now, you look at the girls, they are all emaciated and underfed. Isn't that an indication that we must move pretty fast and get the others out? And that's the same thing that the Bring Back Our Girls group have been clamoring for, that these girls are not in the best of condition. Is there an expected date now for the release of the others?
Well, it's a process that has begun, and you can just be sure that that process will continue. If that process has led to the release of 21 girls, then it's to be expected that all the others, I had a figure of 197 still remaining, you can be sure that as many as are alive will be secured and returned to the country and to their families. But to now set dates may not be proper, may not be realistic, but it's going to be as soon as possible and as soon as practicable.
Is Abubakar Shekau part of this negotiation?
Which of the Shekaus now? We have had Shekau being killed several times. We see him surfacing, whether as the same person or as another person. So you never can tell. Since I was not there, it is those who are there who will tell you that they saw somebody like Shekau or not. And then don't also forget that Boko Haram has become factionalized. How are we sure that is the Shekau faction? Because Shekau, whether it's the real one or a fake one, keeps saying that there will be no negotiation. Therefore, it may not then be the Shekau faction that was talked with and which released these girls.
In fact, that is why we're asking that question, because the Shekau that has come up with 9 lives for a nation struggling to defeat the insurgents, we should be in the know as to who we are discussing with and who is in custody with the girls, the Shekau faction or those against Shekau.
Yeah, but what we can surmise is that most likely the girls are spread over certain areas, and it depends on who now controls that area. It's not likely that they are in one bunch. Therefore, it depends on which tendency within Boko Haram controls the area where the girls are. But whatever it takes, the government is determined to get the girls back.
So, Mr. Adesina, we now know that we have two, like a splinter group of Boko Haram, and we don't really know who we have been talking to. Are we likely to get to the bottom of where these people are? Because since this is not a rescue, for some, if you look at what is happening in the news space, some are saying, how come it is that difficult for the Nigerian military not to have been able to embark on a successful rescue that will get a significant amount of these girls safely home?
Yeah, thank you. You said two groups of Boko Haram. We are not even sure that there are two. You don't know how many there are. And then talking of rescue, cast your mind back to any hostage situation in any part of the world, including in the West. Where have you seen any hostage successfully rescued? In how many places? Maybe you can talk of Entebbe raid in the 70s, in which Israel rescued hostages from Uganda, and some other success stories, very few and far between. You see ISIS parading people from the West and threatening to behead them, and truly, few days after, they show evidence that they have beheaded those people. Those are Westerners who have sophistication in intelligence and in equipment. It shows you that when it is a hostage situation, it is very difficult, even for world powers. You also would notice that those girls were handed over at Banki, which was a border town between Nigeria and Cameroon. For all you know, they may not have been within Nigerian territory all these days. So it shows that it's a very difficult thing. The rest of the world had been cooperating with Nigeria in terms of intelligence and equipment in the Boko Haram war. If it was possible to have rescued the girls with intelligence, it would have been done. So this is the next best thing that could happen, negotiation leading to release. And as to whether the other girls will come, yes, government is very hopeful that they will come.
Now look at this, 21, it's a good thing, but for some it looks like a drop in the ocean, knowing full well that we're talking about over 200 girls here. How much more time do we have with this negotiation that will ensure that these other ones are back home?
Well, like the saying, he who feels it knows it. Those who say it's like a drop in the ocean, let them ask the parents of those 21. Let them ask the girls themselves. Let them ask their families. They will see that they are overtaken with joy. So he who feels it knows it. To those ones, the best thing that could happen has happened to them. Then how much more time do we have? This has taken over 900 days, but we got there. We will still get there eventually with the others. As long as they are alive, government is determined to get them back. Whatever it will take. Don't forget that our president had indicated that if it comes to swapping, he will swap. If it comes to paying, he will pay. Though that didn't happen, we have been told in this instance, and even asked UN agencies to come in about 2 weeks ago at the UN General Assembly. That's a show of commitment by the president and the government to getting those girls back. No matter the number of days, they will be back, we believe.